This film is a film where four teachers are trying to prove a theory that humankind has been born, or should have been born, with a little bit of alcohol in the blood to increase creativity, courage, presence. And it's a film that hopefully becomes about being inspired in life in general, and not just a movie about alcohol. One of the school teachers is Martin.
And Martin is a man in his early 50s whose life has come to a standstill with his job, with his family, with his dreams. We get to learn that he was actually a fantastic school teacher once. In the very earliest scene, everything dawns on Martin when everybody's having a great time. He just realizes that the train has left him and he's standing on the platform and he has a small breakdown. And this is where the film takes a turn. And one of his colleagues and his friends is coming up with this theory he's heard, that we're all born with too little alcohol in our blood. And that might be something that could help me out my misery as well.
As heavy as you are in the beginning, and what you just described beautifully, as a train having left your station, you fly at the end. I think that's the scene people want to hear us talk about.
Martin! Så er det nu. Så skal der danses. Kom så. Kom så. Det er nu. Kom nu. Så vis mig den der, vi skulle lave dengang. Hvad var det, det var? What a night. What a night. What a beautiful, beautiful ride. Don't know where I'm in five, but I'm young and alive. Fuck what they are saying, what a lie. I am so thrilled right now, 'cause I'm popping right now. Don't wanna worry about a thing, but it makes me terrified to be on the other side. How long before I go insane? I am so thrilled right now, 'cause I'm popping right now. Don't wanna worry about a thing, but it makes me terrified to be on the other side. How long before I go insane? What a night, what a night, what a beautiful, beautiful ride. Don't know where I'm in five, but I'm young and alive. Fuck what they are saying, what a lie. It's okay, it's okay that we live in this way. Don't know where I'm in five, but I'm young and alive. Fuck what they are saying, what a lie. It's okay, it's okay that we live in this way. Don't know where I'm in five, but I'm young and alive. Fuck what they are saying, what a lie. What a night, what a night, what a beautiful, beautiful ride. Don't know where I'm in five, but I'm young and alive. Fuck what they are saying, what a lie.
Throughout the film, they've been talking a little about his former life as a amateur dancer. But that scene, was that always part of your idea as an ending for this film?
It was floating back and forth. As you know, Tobias Lindholm, our dear friend and my co-writer on this film, is a reality rules kind of guy. So he was confronting me with the dangers of making this dance scene. But I sort of kept insisting on it. And he said, well, in that case, we have to prepare it. And then we started to discuss, is this a middle of a movie or an end of a movie? Probably because I had a conversation with fellow Danish director Lars von Trier once, where we talked about writing. He said, the only thing I've learned about writing is that you have to save the best for the end, which to some extent has a simplicity to it, which I ended up following in this case.
It was risky to say that will be the best that we are saving for the end, because we had our doubts whether we could pull that off.
I think I took the position of protecting it because I had a feeling that this could be cathartic, but I was always very nervous about it. We felt it was a bit of a stretch, I guess. that a school teacher suddenly ends in a musical kind of scene, and in the end of a movie which is supposed to be very real.
One thing I realized building up to that sequence was not only the other guys talking about it, it's actually the theme of the song is being, suggested to us throughout the film a few times. And I never really thought about that. It's something we want to hear. We want to hear the rest of that song as well. And then finally, I also get a good excuse to dance to it.
The whole theme of this movie is the loss of control. We've placed the film in a society that is very controlled. It's a performance culture, measuring each other, being measured all the time, graded all the time. And here are four men who breaks free of that. And even more so, it came a movie that landed in a confinement with even more restricted lives. So we take very controlled, very restricted lives and in a pandemic. And then out of that grows an urge to lose control. With that came for me an urge for you to let go physically, to lose physical control, which I think you so beautifully and courageously did at the end, believing that idea and having faith in this idea. I guess it was an ultimate loss of control.
But I mean, there's a lot of reasons why I think it worked. First of all, it's not about a man dancing aesthetically. It's about his inner journey. That's the key point, obviously. He's just lost someone he loved dearly, and he's regained someone that he loves dearly within the last hour. So it became like more the inner journey of dancing as opposed to the aesthetic of dancing. And secondly, it was also never supposed to be him doing something and people looking at it. He was just among a lot of other people who were dancing in a different way, not physically, but flying on a high note. And I think that combination with all the build-up made us capable of pulling it off, because our fear was that we would stand out as being pretentious, trying to do something that was not there. But once I saw all the kids and the immortality of these youngsters in real life, and what a great day they had on the film, it just became very clear that I think we can actually pull it off.
I felt it was very important to both you and me that when you sat on the bench and looked at the water, you looked at our dead friend Tommy, so that the scene became a salute to him to some extent.
And the last thing that he said to me, that he was cheering on me and my wife, because we were also afraid, obviously, that, all right, so he's in a fantastic mood now. He's just lost his friend. But that we wanted to bring him into this. We should be a little nervous whether he wants to fly or fall at the same time. I think we did that. And not forgetting your beautiful wife, Helena. She was obviously in the monitor tent. So every time we had a little discussion technically or how we should approach it after a take, we could always look at her because she was sitting there beaming. And then we knew that we were on the right track. She gave us some energy there.
It's no secret, Mads, that of course in the movie you were dancing for Tommy, but in our lives you were dancing for my precious daughter, and my family wanted to see that. And Helene, who always had complete faith in this film, from it was like nothing, has been rooting for this. And obviously she had a very important role that day to keep rooting for us, to give us courage. Yeah. And there was a lot of on stake, because there was Tommy in the movie and there was my daughter in real life, and there was so much going on that day. It became not just a cathartic moment in the movie, but in my career of making movies somehow.
Quite simply, it is the symbol of the tribute to life that this film is. And that scene is obviously showing it more than other scenes.
It has an open end. We talked a lot about what happened after that open end. As you remember, you fell into the water and there was some more dialogue. Sure. We had a scene where you were crawling to a public bus, but ending in the air, like in 400 Blows in the French movie, it was open, which has meant a lot to a lot of people, has raised a lot of questions. What does this actually mean? Do you want us to drink? Do you not want us to drink? Is he flying? Is he falling? Where do you want to go with this?
I mean, listening to the lyrics of the song the second time I watched the film, I mean, I've obviously been dancing it over and over again, but somehow I didn't pay the same kind of attention to the lyrics. But listening to it the second time I saw the film was obviously what it was about. The lyrics are basically saying, okay, this is happening, but at all I want to do now is just be young and alive for 5 more minutes. That's kind of the soul of the film in many ways.
It's the song is almost like it's rebellious, isn't it? It's like insisting on the right to let go. My wife came in there We couldn't find that song. For a year, I was chasing super expensive rides internationally, and she just kept pointing at this Danish band, and the song is inseparable from the movie.
The theme of the film always being all these youngsters being drunk and middle-aged men experimenting to improve their lives through drinking. And the lead singer, turned out, when I met him, and my daughter told me that I do know him because she was friends with him when they were youngsters and graduating from school. And at least twice I've picked him and her up from the same party and dropped him off at his mom when he was absolutely hammered. So there is some kind of, like, if not beautiful, at least a poetic circle with that he ends up being the lead singer of the final dance number.
Is he flying or falling?
Oh, he's flying. I love the idea, and I love what we shot. And I also, if you're an actor and it is super cold and you do kind of a cool stunt in the air and land on your face in the water, there's a fairly big part of you who wants that in the film. But I think that would have been a disastrous ending. I do want to see him up there. But I wasn't sure until we wrapped up the film. Then I wasn't in doubt that this film had to end up there.
You know, I talked to quite a few people who says, of course he's falling. He starts drinking again. And instead of going home to his wife, he starts drinking and falls into the water and falls in.
Yeah, but he's on his way. He's on his way. He just wants 5 more minutes of this.
And he gets another round with his wife. That's what we believe in. And then Tommy loses his life. In the loss of control, he loses his life.
Yeah, and also because we were busy with our own things. We kind of forgot each other in this experiment. We never saw that his issue was different than our issue. So we had our head stuck somewhere, which is also obviously an eye-opener for these 4 guys that why didn't they see it coming? Why were they so busy with themselves?
Thomas, who plays Tommy, we've known him for many years, and it's publicly known that he's an anonymous alcoholic. And I wonder how this film ends for him. I haven't asked him, but I'm not sure it ends in the same way as we think.
I think it ends the same place for him, knowing Thomas, yes. It's also the last words he says as a character to my character. You can say a lot of things about Thomas, but he is a romantic and he's a poetic person. I think it does end on a high note.
Yeah, he was the one I talked to a lot in the beginning. As you know, the script was solely a celebration of alcohol in the very start.
Right.
And I had some conversations with him. Of course, Tobias's dad had problems of the same kind, and Thomas he just showed me some reality, which was important at that point. Was widening the perspective and was putting Tobias and me on track towards wanting to show both the dark side and the light side of drinking.
You never wanted to be moral about it. You never wanted to be a moral lesson about alcohol. The idea was always that the alcohol was the Kickstarter to tell a film about how can you embrace life with or without alcohol.
So Mads, how many takes did we do? How many dances did you do?
20 times all in all.
Right.
Yeah, it started raining a little, and for some funny reason, directors and DOPs love people to be doing stuff on cobblestones as well. But once we did it the first time, it was just like just do it. Let's get out there. Let's jump into it. And actually, there was a part of me that was a little personally free as well, because I haven't done this in 30 years and I was super rusty. But I really did enjoy it once we threw ourselves into it.
And those kids enjoyed it.
They did.
They got into
it. There was quite a few of them that was copying the moves in the background sometimes. It was really cool.
There was this choreographer. She came up with some steps that you'd never seen before, because it was 30 years ago you'd been on a dance floor.
Something happened in those 30 years, that's for sure. But she was sweet enough to, let me make it my own. I mean, she was the base of it. She came up with the base, but then she added a beer can, and we tried to make it something I could recognize as well. But it was basically her step. I'm trying to think now. Besides the energy of what you wanted, did you tell specifically how you wanted it to end, and what you wanted us to go through?
I wanted you to fly at the end. That for sure, because I was building stuff that you could jump off from and stuff. And then I wanted the toing and froing. I wanted you to dance a little bit, then retreat a little bit, then dance a little bit more, and then retreat, and then finally give in. And I wanted Lars, your friend, to encourage you and stuff. And you and I were very keen on the bench. So there was actually some steps, like a little bit of dancing and then retreating to a bench, remembering that this is about Tommy who died. Right?
Right.
So that was phase one. And phase two, the bass kicking in. You not being able to stop yourself from jumping over the bench. And it becomes sort of a camaraderie loving thing where you stop dancing
with Magnus,
and you kick a beer thing. That was sort of phase two. Then it kicks off, and then you do your circle and your leg switch, and then when they all start singing and pumping champagne on you, it's the flying, it's the ultimate running around. Those were the phases that we shot it in. These were the sequences we divided it in when we shot it.
It's one of these things where, when you're an actor, if there's certain things you're quite good at and you're supposed to be bad at it, and you can get so annoyed that the world will never know that I can actually do that. And Lars had it. He had that feeling all day because he's actually a really good dancer himself, and he could easier pull those moves off that I did in the beginning. But he had to be a little drunk and clumsy and fall. And I remember him being so just, burning inside for like, just give me one shot at it, And it was just so sweet.
Well, what I can say is it was, if not the most memorable day of shooting in my career, then at least one of them.
For a lot of reasons. It was for a lot of reasons. Everything was just one gigantic sun of emotions, right? Throughout the film, but just basically culminating for you and your family and everyone that day. So it's very hard to separate your life from that ending, I guess, forever.
Thanks, Mads.